it's important to learn Italian, learn how to speak the language before you actually arrive in Italy to do research or to meet your living relatives?
Yes, it's very good to know some conversational Italian, at least a few courtesy words, so you know what's going on and you can exchange pleasantries with other people. But even if you spoke fluent Italian, it doesn't prepare you for a record search. Learning how to interpret a document ahead of time is very helpful if you just don't want to sit on the sidelines and you want to be part of the process.
Now, you actually did some preparation for this. You researched how to read the letters and to understand the language that is used in the documents. Was that enough for you if you came here on your own to do the research?
Oh, no, not at all. So even if I thought I was an expert in the language and in interpreting the records, I would have been turned away from pretty much virtually every church, municipal. Yes.
Why do you think you would have been turned away?
There's this very interesting cultural dance that you have to do when you're here that we've learned about last time and again this time that I don't think Americans are prepared for, or other cultures for the Italian culture. When you first meet someone in one of these offices, they might tell you no, you can't see the records, even if you've called them and confirmed appointments 3 times. You need somebody who's willing to be your advocate. But there's a dance that you have to do first. And in that process, they will be telling you no, you can't see the records multiple times before they'll say yes.
We have searched a lot of churches, and one thing that I noticed, and I'm sure you noticed as well, is that each experience is just a little bit different.
That is true. The most recent experience we had, you had made an appointment for me to go into a church. And in fact, we had the archivist at the diocese phone and speak personally to the priest. So that appointment seemed solid. When we arrived, however, and asked the priest to see the records, he would not let us see the records ourselves. So we had to phone and have the archivist come to access those records.
Yeah, so that is one roadblock that you can stumble on that may delay your expected amount of time that you have to actually research the archive.
It wasn't a simple process.
And we were in another town, in a different church, and we had an appointment set as well. However, they were waiting for us at another church in the same town. And when we didn't show up at the time they expected, they left.
They were gone. And so we missed that opportunity because sometimes they're called away to do other church business. So you have to expect the unexpected and just prepare extra time. So I'm really glad I allowed 3 days on this trip for the tour because it allows you that flexibility to get in another day to see the church, and it might not be the next day.
Yes, it's very important if your intent is to come to Italy and actually be involved in the research yourself.
The first trip, I didn't have as much time, and things like this happen, so we learn from experience.
Lucia, when we were going through the documents in the archives and in the Comune, we found information on them in addition to finding the dates and who the parents were.
Yes, that was exciting because at first you get really excited when you find a record. You find a name and then maybe parents' names and their ages. But sometimes if you keep reading down in the document and get some help with that, you might find the name of the street where that person was born or where they lived. And if you're really lucky, you'll see a street number.
And you found some of these street names and numbers, and we visited them together.
We found about 3 or 4 different addresses, and every experience was a little different. We would find a little street and locate the address because it was a very small street, and the addresses might not have changed over time, and that was really easy. But it isn't always that way. In maybe a medium-sized street or maybe larger street, and the numbers are not the same. In fact, there might be 2 or 3 different street numbering systems on the road. Some numbers look newer, some may be a little bit older, and some might be very old, engraved in marble, built into the side of the building. The most recent find was 3 different numbering systems, but I started to see the old marble engraved numbers. I found the number I was looking for, and it was really subtle, flush with the building, and they had painted or stuccoed over it. So it was very, very subtle and hard to find.
That's a really good point that you make, because just because you see the number of the street on the birth record, it does not mean it's going to be the same today. You have done this twice now, Lucia. This is the last day of your second heritage tour here in Italy. So you have experience now. What advice do you give to everybody else who's coming here to do the same thing?
Yes, well, this is my second trip to Italy. The key thing that I've learned is to enjoy yourself. You really need to be flexible, allow for some time. Don't make it like you're back at work trying to make a job out of this that you have to receive, you have to find records because sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. And it's a good thing if you don't find records in a certain place because then you can find closure then and figure out that maybe your family left the city or maybe that's where they ended their the line. And so it's okay to find records. It's okay not to find records, but in that whole process, it's important to stay flexible and keep your expectations open.
Yes, that's a very good point, Lucia, because although you know that your family's from a certain area, there is a good possibility that you will not find a lot of records because your relatives have also come from other towns that may be nearby instead of the town that you actually got to visit from.
And part of the things that we learned from being in the archives, talking with the archivist that you were set up a great relationship with, is she provided interesting information about the history of the development of the town. And when there was a large construction project like the Big Regia that went on for decades, people came into town to work from many little towns, and then they disappeared. So those names were not from that town, even though in America I thought they were from the town. So there's different things that you can learn by just talking to people, picking up a little Italian, staying flexible, and being prepared to go to another town that you weren't planning to go to. So having that extra time really made that enjoyable for me.
That's great advice, Lucia, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again on your next trip.
You too.